Hello guys, welcome to Said Tom, and for today's episode we'll be talking about Epipremnum Aureum and some of the varieties that I have in my collection and how I take care and propagate them. But before anything else, I would like to please ask for your support by liking and subscribing to my videos. I would really appreciate them a lot. Now, the first plant in my collection is this golden photos. This plant is the first photos that I got, and what I like about this plant is that it is very beautiful when it comes to its variegation. It is color yellow with green combination. It is very bright, and the size of this plant can be big or small depending on the condition. If you place them on a trellis, the leaves would be bigger, but if you let them hang, the leaves tends to get smaller and smaller. So if you want bigger leaves, then you have to provide a pole for them. Now the next plant that we have here is called the marble queen. It is color green with white, and the reason why it's called marble is because of this design. It is very marble-like, and the variegation can be very random also. As you could see here, this is almost pure white. Some of them are half, like here it's 3/4. This one is half, and this plant is also a very fast grower. See, this one, it's half. So as I was saying, this plant is a very fast grower, and I was able to propagate many of them. The reason why it's short here because I always cut them, but this plant is quite bigger when it comes to its leaves, and compared to the golden photos, which tends to get big and small, but this one is more consistent with the size. And the next photos that we have here is the snow queen, and for me this is the most problematic plant because it is a very slow grower, and since it doesn't have a lot of chlorophyll, the leaf tend to get damaged very easily. As you could see here, it has a browning here on the edges because it is not very strong due to its lack of chlorophyll. And I had this plant for a very long time and it hasn't grown much, and I'm quite afraid that it might die soon because it is not growing so well. And this plant is very similar to the marble queen, except that the marble queen has more green compared to this one. The green of this one is just a speckle, so it is predominantly white. So that is the reason why this plant is very weak due to its lack of chlorophyll. But I know some people can make this plant grow bigger, but in my case I find this plant very difficult to take care. And if you want to try it, you can buy this plant, but if you want to have a lush garden, I would suggest that you buy the other photos instead. So please don't get upset with me, Miss Snow Queen. The next plant that we have here is the neon photos. The difference between golden photos and this one is that it doesn't produce a lot of variegation. The variegation is very minimal, as you could see with this one. It is more solid and the colors is very bright, just like what the name implies. It is neon, but it tends to get darker when it's not getting enough light. But if you place them in a very bright area, the colors would be very bright. Now the next plant that we have here is called the Jade Photos. The Jade Photos is very similar to the neon photos when it comes to its size, shape, texture, and everything. Even the growth is very similar to the neon photos, but this one is only darker. And if you like a plant that is not too showy but can provide a lot of volume also, you could purchase this plant. Now the next plant that we have here is called, what's the name of this plant? Enjoy. Enjoy is very similar to pearls and jade. The difference is that the contrast between the white and green here is more solid. The separation is very distinct. And what I love about this plant is the colors. The white and green combination is very elegant. It is not very showy because the separation of color is very distinct. It's very solid. And the growth rate of this plant is not as fast as the golden photos, but it is also a fast grower and very easy to take care and propagate as well, because it produces a lot of aerial roots as well. The next plant that we have here is the pearls and jade, which is very similar to Enjoy, as I have said. The leaves of this plant is a lot smaller, I must say, and the colors are very similar to Enjoy, but the difference between Enjoy and this one is that the green and white has a lot of mix. As you can see on the white part, there's a lot of tiny speckles of green in there. So the leaves of this is very random. And this plant can be fast grower as well, but not as fast as the golden photos. And it is very easy to propagate. The next plant that we have here is the Manjula. I would say that this is the most beautiful of all the photos because the size of the leaf is very big and the shape is very wavy. The separation of the green and white is very prominent, and the plant can look very lush. But this plant is not as fast growing as the golden photos. And some facts, as you can see here, there are some damages on the white part because as you all know, plants with lesser chlorophyll tends to be weaker. So that's the only concern with this plant. It tends to get holes on the lighter part. But all in all, this plant I think is very beautiful and worth your money. And this is one of the pricey plants because this is a hybrid, and I believe that this plant was created in Florida. They mix it with some other plants, that's why it produced this kind of look, which is very unique compared to other photos. The next plant that we have here is the giant Hawaiian Photos, and it was sold to me as giant photos, but I I believe this plant is called the Hawaiian Photos. And what I love about this plant is the size. The coloring is very similar to golden photos. It's just that the shape is very different and the size is a lot bigger. And I believe if you grow this plant a lot bigger, it will produce some penetrations as well. You just have to provide a pole for this one, because if you don't, it will fall off and the leaves will not produce as big as it can be if it doesn't have a pole. So I would suggest to provide poles so you can make the most of its beauty. So that's it, guys. Those are my Epipremnum Aureum Collection, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe, and see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching and goodbye.